Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, with Phil Andrews and Rob Jennings.
Sunday night, Rob is off. I'm Flora Pastorero. In the news, police investigate the suspicious death of a toddler in Camden, and hundreds gather for a Holocaust remembrance in Philadelphia. But the big story on Action News tonight is a ray of hope for workers at the Philadelphia Navy Yard. The Russians are coming, at least that's the plan. A Philadelphia area congressional delegation has laid the groundwork for a unique post-Cold War partnership. Action News reporter Kristen Z has the details.
It was raining when the congressmen landed at Philadelphia International, but the news they brought from Moscow was anything but gloomy. They've signed an agreement with the Russian Defense Ministry,
which we hope will provide hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs here at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in the very near future.
The agreement paves the way for U.S. companies to buy old Russian military vessels and dismantle them for scrap here at the shipyard. This will create work for at least a portion of the 5,000 employees who are expecting pink slips when the naval yard is scheduled to close next year.
When this program gets into full swing, we could have as many as 8 to 10 ships on dock being dismantled at any given time, and that gets you upwards of 1,000 workers.
As for the Russians, they would get desperately needed cash, plus the latest technology in environmental cleanup. Many of the ships are contaminated with toxic PCBs, which would have to be removed prior to coming here. But before the shipyard receives any Russian vessels, a feasibility study will first have to be completed. Federal dollars are available. If the report is supportive, U.S. companies can begin negotiations with the Russians. Congressman Kurt Weldon's office has already received inquiries from interested businesses. Camden Steel is among them. The delegation's hope is that this will open the door for future ventures between Russia and Philadelphia.
They want to do business with us. We want to do business with them.
The delegation hopes to have a contract signed within 60 to 90 days. Once that's completed, the first Russian ships could be floating up the Delaware by this July. I'm Kristen Z, Channel 6 Action News.
President Clinton says U.S. jet fighters are prepared to carry out another attack on Bosnian Serbs if they don't stop their fighting. Earlier today, 2 American F-16s from the NATO base in Italy carried out airstrikes against Serb positions near the besieged Muslim town of Gorazda. NATO ordered the attack at the request of the United Nations after its peacekeepers came under heavy bombardment. In Washington today, President Clinton had this reaction.
I think we have to be firm. We have seen in the past that when we have been firm in support of the United Nations mission, that it has tended to further negotiations. That's all we're trying to do, is to further negotiations.
President Clinton said that real progress was being made in the negotiations to end the 2-year-old civil war in Bosnia. He said he doesn't think today's developments will derail those talks. Hundreds of Americans have safely fled war-torn Rwanda and are heading into neighboring Burundi tonight. The evacuees are describing a scene of slaughter and mass destruction. Officials believe as many as 10,000 people have been killed in Rwanda over the past 4 days, including members of a UN peacekeeping force. The violence erupted on Wednesday after the presidents of Rwanda and Burundi died in a suspicious plane crash. Burundi has been calm, but rival tribes in Rwanda have waged a bloody battle for control of the government. The warring factions agreed to a ceasefire late today. This was a day of remembering for Philadelphia's Jewish community, remembering the 6 million people who were killed during the Holocaust. Action News reporter David Murphy has more.
The sweet strains of a violin filled the synagogue of Congregation Rodeth Shalom on North Broad Street as over 1,000 gathered for this year's Holocaust remembrance. Among them, survivors like Mina Coulter, who escaped from a ghetto in Poland but lost 60 relatives.
And as long as we're here, we just simply cannot keep silent. The world was silent for so many years, and look at the results.
This year's ceremony focused on the Jewish communities destroyed by the Nazis. Children carried signs with the names of those lost towns. The procession went on and on, like the Holocaust itself. Over 5 years, Hitler's Third Reich murdered 6 million European Jews. 6 candles were lit today in their memories. The keynote speaker was not a death camp survivor, but one who's helped jail those who ran them. Former Nazi prosecutor for the U.S. Justice Department, Alan Ryan, who brought stories of those he's helped convict.
Her mother turned away in terror. Cozy shot the girl twice. Her name was Monica Zinger, and she was 3 years old.
But the most stirring words came from someone who was born decades after the killings. Central High School student Amy Dorfman, who read a poem she wrote called Falling Ashes, referring to the mass cremation of bodies in the death camp ovens. As she read, you could hear a pin drop.
It's snowing the children today. Ashes, ashes, they all fall down. The flame of our bright future was dimmed as their tiny young bodies went in.
Organizers greatly involved children this year in hopes that they'll keep the Holocaust story alive in years to come. The young people here appear determined to do just that. In Spring Garden, David Murphy, Channel 6 Action News.
An elderly man accused of murdering Jews while serving in a Nazi commando unit in World War II has been forced to leave the United States. The 80-year-old was deported yesterday and sent to Australia. According to the Justice Department, the man served in an execution squad in Nazi-occupied Latvia. He moved to the U.S. in 1959 but was ordered deported in 1988 after a trial. The decision was upheld on appeal, and last month the Supreme Court turned down his petition for a hearing. Tragedy tonight in Camden, New Jersey. Authorities are puzzled over the sudden death of a toddler. Police got a call this afternoon that a child was in distress and was having trouble breathing. Authorities arrived at the home on Boyd Street and rushed a 21-month-old girl to Cooper Medical Center, where she was pronounced dead. The child was home alone with her mother's boyfriend. An autopsy will be performed tomorrow morning to determine the cause of death. Authorities in Gloucester County, New Jersey are questioning suspects at this hour in connection with the overnight shooting of an off-duty police officer. It happened around 11:30 last night at the intersection of Barber and Evergreen Avenues near the Woodbury Country Club. The officer, whose name was not released, noticed he was being followed as he left the County Justice Complex on his motorcycle. He was rear-ended as he stopped at the intersection.
He jumped from the vehicle and began to run. He was unarmed at the time, and two men came out of the vehicle. One stayed in the vehicle and fired several shots, somewhere in the area, 4 or 5 shots at him.
Cotton says one of the men called the officer by name as he opened fire. One of the bullets struck the officer's helmet. He'll be okay. The suspect's vehicle, a 1994 Geo Tracker, was spotted at the Chestnut Lane Apartments a short time later. A police sweep of the complex failed to find the gunman, but late tonight a number of men were rounded up for questioning. The Philadelphia Fraternal Order of Police goes back to court in the morning trying to block a move to rotate shifts, but any court action will come after the fact. The shift changes begin less than an hour from now, with the department's 6,200 officers rotating through days, evenings, and overnights every 2 weeks. Until now, those working the midnight shift by choice were not part of the rotation. Commissioner Richard Neal, who won a bitter common pleas court fight on Friday, says the change will improve community policing. Not so, says the FOP. Union President Mike Lutz says the move is being made on a whim with no basis in fact.
So if they make a mistake, what are they going to do? Just change it again next year and uproot people's lives? And this is what we're talking about. We're dealing with people out here. We're dealing with people that are going to schools. We have single parents, and we have a lot of concerns out there. We have some kind of semblance and order in their lives, and we just don't want to uproot their lives just because they have a whim. And it's based on no facts whatsoever. Not a moment's study was done on this.
Lutz says the FOP contract clearly calls for shift changes to be decided by arbitration. He hopes a Commonwealth Court judge will agree with him in the morning. Lutz says for now a blue flu epidemic is unlikely. However, some police rank and file are threatening to protest by writing fewer traffic tickets, which could cost the city lost revenue. Still no sign tonight of 3 juveniles who foiled guards and broke out of the Youth Development Center in Bucks County. The teenagers escaped from the facility in Bensalem Township around 10 o'clock last night. They made their getaway by climbing over a security fence. A 4th juvenile also tried to escape, but he didn't make it. He was injured on the fence. State troopers have been searching for the trio. Meantime, authorities in Bridgeport, Montgomery County are searching for the cause of a fire that leveled a well-known Chinese restaurant. The Lotus Garden restaurant on DeKalb Street went up in flames around 11:30 last night. For 4 hours, dozens of firefighters battled the blaze before they were able to get things under control. The business was completely wiped out, and 1 firefighter was injured. Texas Eastern wants to reopen its natural gas pipeline in New Jersey, but it can't unless a federal judge gives the okay. Last month, the pipeline in Edison ruptured and exploded. The blast destroyed 8 apartment buildings and forced more than 1,000 residents to flee their homes. Texas Eastern claims it's conducted tests on the line and the pipeline is safe. The company is asking a judge to lift a restraining order which prohibits Texas Eastern from restarting the pipeline. Still to come on Action News tonight, the Phillies head home on the wrong side of a Cincinnati sweep, and a horrific crash mars the IndyCar race in Phoenix. Phil Andrews with the Sunday sports scene, AccuWeather's back to work forecast, and much more when Action News comes right back. One person was killed, 18 others injured after lightning struck a Frisbee match in Nashville, Tennessee. The ultimate Frisbee match was being held on a rain-soaked field this afternoon when lightning hit. Witnesses say everyone hit the ground after they heard what sounded like a grenade exploding. One man said the huge jolt knocked him back about 5 yards. Officials say 7 of the victims were Frisbee players. The rest were spectators. A string of tornadoes ripped across portions of Kansas and Oklahoma late last night and early this morning. This is the destruction they left behind in the tiny town of Kismet, Kansas, which is about 15 miles north of the Oklahoma border. 7 people were injured. Dozens of homes were damaged. Some parts of the Midwest were pelted today with golf ball-sized hail and heavy rains. A heavy snow warning is in effect for Denver, Colorado tonight. More than 2 inches of snow fell in that area today, and forecasters say the city could get 6 to 12 inches of snow tomorrow. There is one good thing. The snow is sticking to the grass, not the roads, so it's not causing any problems getting around town. Chaos and violence are plaguing South Korea's Buddhist community tonight. Rival monks sprayed each other with water and kerosene today as they fought for control of a temple occupied by the leader of South Korea's largest Buddhist order. Militant reformists are accusing the chief monk of taking bribes and financial irregularities. They are demanding his resignation. Police in riot gear moved in to remove the dissident monks from the building. About a dozen monks were injured in the melee. Well, beachgoers on Morton Island in Australia are being warned to stay out of the water tonight. That's because hundreds of sharks have gathered off the Queensland's coast to feed on huge schools of bait fish. One swimmer says he was up to his knees in the water before he even noticed the sharks. Fortunately, he got out of the water without being harmed. For now, spectators are keeping a safe distance from the sharks by watching their feeding activities from the beach. Phil Andrews is here now with sports. A noted guest will be in town tomorrow for the Phillies home opener.
That would be
Bob Casey.
Very good. He will be tossing out the first ball. But the big guest, John Kruk, will he be in the Phillies lineup for tomorrow's home opener against the Rockies? That decision could be made tomorrow morning after Kruk has his radiation treatment. Meanwhile, somewhat of a wet start in Cincinnati today as the Phils wrapped up their series with those Reds. Things started out okay for the Phils as Darren Dalton got on the board with a 3-run shot in the top of the first. Out of here, gone. I just said that. But then in the Reds' half of the inning, Jeff Juden, in his Phillies debut, walks the first 3 Cincinnati batters to load the bases, and with the Phils up 3-2, Roberto Kelly back up through the middle. This would tie the game at 3. Kelly with 3 RBI on the day. Juden helped his cause somewhat here, giving the Phils the go-ahead run and the RBI single to make it 5-4. As Eisenreich scores, the Reds would tie the game at 5, but in the bottom of the 6th, Brett Boone's bloop single gets by Lenny Dykstra, allowing Kelly to score the winning run as the Phils get swept for the first time since 1992. And don't look now, folks, but the Braves are out of the gate, not looking back. Today, Atlanta rookie Tony Tarasco had a homer and 2 doubles after replacing injured Dave Justice in the 4th inning. Atlanta remained perfect in 7 starts. They are now 7-0 as they beat the Dodgers 6-3. And keep in mind, they are now in the Phils division. Elsewhere today, Pittsburgh, Colorado rained out. Again, the Rockies in town for the Phils home opener tomorrow. Montreal over Chicago. Houston 6, New York Mets 1, St. Louis 1 better than San Francisco, and the Marlins get by San Diego 8-5. Over in the American League, looks like the Toronto Blue Jays want to go back for a 3rd try at that World Series today. Joe Carter hit his 4th home run of the season, drove in 5 runs as the Jays got by Seattle 12-6. Toronto is now, yes, 5-1. The Mariners 0-5. In the American League, Texas over Baltimore, Detroit 8, New York 3. And Oakland 15 better than Minnesota. California 4, Milwaukee 1, Kansas City 6, Cleveland 1, and, well, the White Sox shutting out the Red Sox 8-0. Well, it is now official. The Flyers' playoff hopes have been iced for the 5th year in a row after a 4-3 loss to the Bruins today. Tommy Soderstrom got the starting goal, but was pulled in the second period in favor of Dominic Roussel. It was scoreless first period when Dmitry Yushkevich fired one off the boards. This one off the skate of Vincent Riendo, 1-0 Flyers. But the game tied at 1. Joseph Stumple beats Tommy Soderstrom. It was about this time that they were thinking about pulling Tommy. And then here's the game winner coming up right here. Glenn Murray with the goal. Terry Simpson saying, hey, what's going on? Our season's over, and so my job.
I don't see looking at our coaches as anyway going to help a situation and finding, something to blame. I mean, if you're going to blame something, blame ourselves. I mean, there's going to be blame thrown around here. There's going to be a lot of talk about what's going to have to happen and things like that and where everybody's going to go.
And, of course, it was the Islanders' win over the Rangers combined with the Bruins' win that ended the Flyers' playoff chances. Elsewhere, New Jersey, Florida skate to a 2-2 final. Buffalo over Quebec. It was Chicago 2, LA 1. Also an overtime final, Dallas, St. Louis, and Hartford 6, Tampa Bay 4. For the sixth time in 7 years, a non-American is wearing the prestigious green jacket worn only by the Masters champ, and that champ, Spain's Jose Maria Olazabal. Olazabal had a closing round 69 for a final score of 9 under 279. The eagle there on number 15. Now, Tom Lehman, who shot a 72, also had an eagle shot here on the same hole. Look at this. And he missed it. Yeah, he finished with a 72, finished in second. Larry Mize finished with a 71. And, of course, as tradition has it, last year's champ, Bernard Langer of Germany, awarding the green jacket to this year's winner, Jose Maria Olazabal.
What can I say? This is the happiest day of my life. It's like a dream come true.
Indeed it is. Sixers off until Tuesday when they travel to the Palace of Auburn Hills to play the Pistons. 7 games remaining in what has certainly been a long season for the Sixers. NBA action today as we check the board. Jersey over New York. It was Boston over Detroit. Seattle no problem over Charles Barkley and company. And right now Denver and Houston in the third. Well, as I said, the Sixers and Flyers may not see playoff action at the Spectrum this year, but thanks to the Philadelphia Wings, the joint was jumping tonight. Major Indoor Lacrosse League playoff action against the New York Saints, and guess what? The Gate brothers had a go of it tonight. Paul Gate making it 16-7. Matter of fact, the Twins combined for 10 goals tonight as they get by the Saints 17-7. Next week, they shuffle off to Buffalo to play the Bandits for the league championship. Dale Earnhardt taking the checkered flag at today's running of the Food City 500 down in Bristol, Tennessee. This the second NASCAR victory in 7 days for Earnhardt, who won last week's Trans-South 400. IndyCar circuit stopping in Phoenix today for the Slick 50 200. Ugly looking stuff here on lap 61. Ouch! Dominic Dobson and Paul Tracy stranded. They were hit by Jacques Villeneuve. He smacked head into the pile. Nobody seriously hurt, but when it was all said and done, Emerson Fittipaldi taking the checkered flag, finishing ahead of teammate Al Unser Jr. And finally tonight, an update on the world's most famous minor league baseball player. Michael Jordan continuing his baseball odyssey with the Birmingham Barons. Today, Jordan had not 1, but 2 hits against the Knoxville Lookouts. A shallow single there and to right, and the second single shallow to left center. In 3 games, Jordan now 2 for 11 and is batting 182.
So he's not getting any better.
Well, he's got 2 hits today, so that's better.
Okay.
That's an improvement.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, thanks.
AccuWeather is next. Stay with us. Well, today's rain is history. AccuWeather says a nice day is in store for tomorrow, and Philly fans will just love that. Action Radar shows that system that brought us a dreary Sunday and about 1/3 of an inch of rain. It's now moved well off the coast. A high-pressure system is taking its place, pushing out the cloud cover. The action cam was outside the Free Library tonight. Today's high was 64 degrees. That came in around 10 o'clock this morning. The current 54 degrees is also the low for the day. The humidity is easing off a bit. It's now at 78%. The barometer rising at 30.14, and winds are out of the northwest at 7 miles per hour. And now for the exclusive AccuWeather forecast. Clearing for tonight with a low dropping down to 44 degrees. For the morning rush, mostly sunny and 48 degrees. Monday, we'll see sunny to partly cloudy skies and a high of 62. For the Phillies home opener, first pitch at 2:05 p.m. Mostly sunny skies and 60 degrees. Just a great day to be at the ballpark. Tuesday, partly cloudy with a high of 58. Wednesday, more clouds move in, some rain late in the day, a high of 66. Thursday, windy and warmer, the temperature moving up to 72 degrees, and then partly sunny on Friday with the high of 74. Finally tonight, a submarine race above water in Denver, Colorado. Employees from the Blimpie submarine sandwich chain competed to see who was the fastest at building a sub sandwich, and they had some help from some youngsters in the area.
2, 3, go!
The sandwich makers were not only judged on speed, but the overall look of their masterpieces. The winner got $150 and a chance to compete in the national sub-making contest. Oh, there you go. Well, the $1 Million movie is next right here on Channel 6. Tonight's feature is The Man Who Loved Women. Action News returns at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning with Monica Malpass, Dave Frankel, and Rick Williams. Now for Rob Jennings, Phil Andrews, and the entire Action News team, I'm Flora Pastorero. Thanks for watching. Have a good night and a great week.